15,000 passenger car unit is probably the density or the traffic at that point. Now, there is issue in terms of public transport because routes are slightly dated. There are newer areas coming up. How does the public bus system start servicing? Those are all questions we'd like to explore today. And also, we need to remember many of these areas are old village roads. They are narrow, they're potholed, and middle of nowhere you will find huge apartments, but the access to those neighborhoods are not very easy to go through. Now, this is affecting the communities, and I will request now Mukund to kind of share a small, one slide to explain what the issues are. Mukund, over to you.
Let's go ahead and just sharing my screen. So, I mean, I'm going to be talking about problems, but before I talk about problems, there are two things I want to emphasize. Hopefully my screen is visible. The first part is, I think BMTC runs a very, very good public transport system compared to all other metros in the country. The second thing is it's got extremely good coverage, and I think I was extremely positive when I met with Prabhakar Reddy sir. He looked like a man with intent, and I think that is very, very important. I think they must be able to empathize with the problems you're facing. The problem statement is very clear. I think Meera talked about it. The final destination tends to be the tech parks, mostly on ORR. We did the survey, which kind of validated that. What has happened over the last 5 to 10 years is that the residential population has shifted out of ORR. So what has happened is, we have very good bus routes on ORR, but the moment you go to Sarjapur Road, you don't have that many connections. There are a lot of bus connections, but it is not comfortable necessarily. The frequency needs to be more tight during peak hour. There need to be AC buses. And the connectivity, I think that is a key point here. As Meera talked about that famous junction of Iblu. If you actually look at the point where people get off the 342 series on Sarjapur Road and then want to cross that road to get on the ORR series, it is literally a threat to life. Now, that's not a BMTC issue, but nevertheless, it's a pertinent issue. So given that background, what do we think will help solve the problem is basically we need to have more air-conditioned BMTC buses, more frequent buses between Sarjapur to Hebbal, and that kind of feeds into the core grid. Now, Sarjapur Road is a broad residential neighborhood. It doesn't cater to everybody in there, but there are arterial roads. There is Kasamanelli Road, Harlur Road, there's Halnaikal Linear Road, Gear School Road, Chandapura Road. There are a bunch of roads that connect, but you've got 50% of the problem statement solved if you basically apply that. I think Prabhakar Reddy sir last week, he did talk about the new 500 HS series. We really need to get more of these frequency and more of these AC buses. And that will basically solve two issues. One, it gives an alternative. And remember, most people who are commuting in their private vehicles to their usual destination being on ORR are doing so because there's no alternative. They feel like there's no option on Sarjapur Road. And the second point to note is the last mile and the first mile connectivity. We think that may be inconsequential, but I think statistics will tell you that if you have at least that part taken care of, where the last mile and first mile is taken care of, people are much more happy about taking the bus. Now, the good thing is you have the tech parks usually on ORR, so predictably your last mile is sorted out because BMTC has very good coverage there. So if we can make a little bit of effort to get the first mile part and we get more frequency, AC buses, rationalization of the app issues and the ticket, I think you're going to see a lot more people, and that's going to be critical because when Sarjapur Metro starts, what you think is bad is going to become impossible, and that becomes even more important, I think, for BMTC to get these the frequency and stuff in there because it will be extremely beneficial for them and for residents. We did a survey in terms of what people go through, and you notice that People have started making lifestyle changes. They don't want to go out. They have road rage issues. So it's a lot of things to worry about. Broadly, these are our asks, and I'll kind of stop with that. We want in the immediate high frequency AC, BMTC app issues, minibuses, and I know BMTC has constraints. I'm sure they'll talk about that, but I think we need to have some kind of mechanism. It could be a shared auto, but the transport department needs to work through to address for narrower roads, because first mile connectivity is absolutely critical to get in there. More long-term initiatives, I think we need to have incentives. I think the cash system is somewhat disadvantageous. The app doesn't work. If you use UPI, some buses offer that, but it's very slow. I have to feel like the conductors have to go through a lot of struggle when they do that. Maybe a BMTC card, you can recharge the card. And if you basically do that, the double incentive for BMTC is 8, makes the ticketing very, very seamless. It also gives them visibility for who is going from where to where. That kind of data will be very, very beneficial for them to do their route planning. The last but not the least, we need to have good road crossing and accessible footpaths. So I think if we get to these, I think in the next 1 year, we'll be very, very good. Obviously, for long-term plan, we want metro, we want cycle lanes. Those are kind of some of the key survey responses. Most people wanted to, believe that they'll get on the bus if you had 5 frequency. You want to have something which is within 300 meters. Are they willing to switch? Yes, emphatically. What is their start time typically when they go? You've noticed that people have started going earlier and earlier. I think this is something I've been noticing. This is basically a response to traffic, commute duration. You can see a lot of people are doing 1 to 2 hours, which is something which is not good overall. And yeah, that pretty much summarizes it. I think over to you, Meera.
Thank you, Mukund. Just wanted to add one thing. It is not only the adults who are spending hours in the traffic, it's also about children, right? Whether they're in the school buses or waiting for the school bus or other forms of transport, they are breathing in this polluted air. And really, I think it's important for us to figure out what kind of neighborhood or city we are leaving our children. So that's something to keep in mind. So like Mukund shared a bunch of demands from the residents. And if you look at this problem, there are 2 aspects to this. One is what is the state's responsibility? What do the different agencies need to do? And what should be the community response, right? So again, from what we expect from the state, one obviously is from a public transport perspective, what kind of services do we need and so on. The other part is, now again, this is a very old road, right from whatever Tipu Sultan time, the Sarjapur road has existed. And it's narrow in some parts, it's wide in some parts, and some of the roads that feed in are like I said, village roads. So there is absence of continuous, clean, safe footpaths. Crossing, like Mukund said, is like near impossible because there are also dividers alongside. Now, what is it that is really the bare essential that we need from an infrastructure perspective? So I'd like Vivekanand to come and actually give the context of what are the different elements, right from from a road perspective, from whether we need flyovers, underpasses, before we talk about BMTC and metro, right? Because if you look at residents, everybody is very excited at the idea, oh, we can have metros, oh, we can have elevated way. Are those things that really are feasible here? Are they required, or will they work? Are there better alternatives? And that is something I request you to elaborate on. Vivekanand, over to you.
Hi, good evening all. My name is Vivekanand. I'm with GIZ now. We are part of one urban mobility living lab in Bangalore. So since Meera, you asked about the infrastructure question. So this was one question through which we studied the Sarjapur Road area, where DALT was approached, or basically DALT had intervened where BBMP was planning on an underpass at Harloor Road, which of course the citizens wanted evaluated. And that's where we modeled that entire area around Sarjapur Road. And then we studied it as to the citizens did have some proposals. And we actually found out that the underpass at Harloor Road would not be helping you all at all. And rather, it will lead to more congestion at the Iblo junction. So there were certain other possibilities also that were discussed, but I think Sarjapur Road didn't get at places. There were certain things missed out all the time. Um, so metro is something that is getting planned. So that's something that you should look forward to, and probably keep the complete road available for metro construction when it happens. The DPR is already through, and once it's approved, I think you will have the construction contracts out, and so that's the infra that you should be looking forward to. Apart from that, so a couple of other things that were discussed on Outer Ring Road is that why is that Sarjapur Road flyover just in one direction at Iblur? So, I mean, this was the question we had taken to Bangalore Metro, saying that when they are building the viaduct for Metro, why don't they have a double decker like they have done? You've heard of this from Jayadeva till Silk Board. It's a double decker there, where there's a road under the Metro viaduct. So that's when Metro said that the contracts for that are out. Actually, we'd entered the scene much late. So but of course, what BMRCL has gone ahead in doing is for the other stretch, which is starting from Hebbal along the other stretch of Outer Ring Road, the whole western side, wherever there is a flyover being planned by BBMP, Metro has stepped in and said that we will, whenever we come in to do the construction, we'll do a double decker there, only in those certain stretches. And then the Metro MD, Mr. Ajay Seth, he had mentioned that it's extremely expensive to do this double decker. What they've realized from the Jayadeva to Silk Board example. But of course, Sarjapur Road missed out on that. The other thing that we had discussed with the Metro MD is that the station again for Sarjapur Road, the whole this is a funny situation where the catchment is on the Sarjapur Road side, but the station is on the other side. You are aware where the metro station is coming. It's where the Iblur bus stop is. So again, the whole connectivity to the metro station area is going to be a challenge. The circulation is going to be restricted till your Manipal Hospital junction. So, and there's a footover bridge that is proposed by BMRCL, which will be fairly long. And this will take from Sarjapur Road somewhere where you have that 3M car showroom, car service place, Cupcake Noggins and so on, from there up till the metro station. So that's a fairly long walk, but unavoidable because it's pretty complex. It's a pretty built up area. So I think it's difficult. Plus you have military area on the other side. But then I think what will seamlessly connect in future will be the metro on Sarjapur Road. But of course, I mean, it's not going to be easy. Like Mukund mentioned, it's going to be extremely challenging when this comes up. The construction of it, it's going to be really tough. So that's on the infrastructure bit, at least on the metro side that I could cover. I feel a few other things that, I would like to bring up is, since Mukund also mentioned about bus stops being much closer, you have pretty large plot sizes because of the sizes of the gated communities. So for a person to walk from the tower till the main gate and from there on to the metro, so to the bus stop is a fairly long walk. So probably bringing the bus stops closer or probably allowing the buses to stop even at the gated communities main gate will really boost the ridership. So those are a few kind of changes that could be looked at when planning for an area like Sarjapur Road. People are here to stay. It's bang in the middle of two big employment zones, Belandur and Electronic City. People will stay there. There are wonderful schools down Sarjapur Road for which people will stay there. So you will have you will further see a lot of population growth along that area. So a lot of careful planning of that infrastructure is necessary. The roads are narrow, but then BMTC is running buses in other parts also where there are narrow roads. I mean, you can, close to my place, there is Sanjay Nagar, there is Bhupasandra and all that. So even here, buses can be operated. And like again, Mukund mentioned, AC buses. Why? Because the income levels are fairly high. So people will want that comfort which their car offers. So good service, quality service is something that there is willingness to pay for. And that is the kind of service that should be deployed and people should take it up. So I think that's something that I would like to touch upon for now.
Vivekan, if you can just add like a couple of points about metro versus like metro eventually will come on Sarjapur Road. But even after that, what is the role of BMTC so that then we'll have the right question to ask Mr. Prabhakar as well.
So you will need BMTC always. Reason being that when you have tech parks along Belandur and it's a, door to door, it's about 3 or 4 kilometers for somebody. who's living on Sarjapur Road, they are never going to go till Iblur, change into the metro station there, and then get off at Balandur metro station and then get into the tech park. So those people will still probably continue to use their cars, but if available, if a good service is available from BMTC, they will definitely switch on to that. And that will be a wonderful feeder even to the metro station, metro network, which is coming on Outer Ring Road. But a good number of people who live on Sarjapur Road and work in Balandur, further Marathali and so on, they'll continue to use that kind of a bus service if operated with good frequency. So it has to be there. And yeah, big buses or even small buses, whatever the form factors that BMTC is able to bring in, a good frequency. And I would suggest that looking at the willingness to pay, a good maybe air-conditioned service is something that they could think of.
Thanks, Vivekanand. In fact, a couple of days ago, when we had a masterclass on mobility, so we had the the expert from WRA, Alok Mukherjee, who gave like the breakup of at what point of commuter demand do you need, what kind of transport will work, and he said that between 8 to 10 kilometers is when of commute is when you start looking at metro. But for shorter distances, between 2 to 5 kilometers, it makes much more sense to depend on BMTC as well. Okay, so I'd like to ask Mr. Prabhakar Reddy, like, maybe just give us a little bit context. Like now there is a huge like demand here. There is a need as well. What is the process of, deciding a bus route? How do you go about figuring out, oh, this area, there are so many people living and there is a demand, there are request petitions from the community, etc. And what are your constraints? Like, okay, I need this kind of a, distance or so many passengers and all of that. So we'd like to hear from BMTC, sir.
BMTC operates about 5,500 schedules per day. We have got about 6,200 buses as of now. And we are catering about 40 to 42 lakhs per day, out of which 20 lakhs will be women passengers due to Shakti. And we are operating about 58,000 trips per day and in 1,800 routes. This is the highest number of routes in the entire country. We are operating we have got 49 depots. Shortly, we are starting one more depot. That means we are reaching 50 depots in the city. And we have got roughly about 50 bus stations also. We are covering about 11.5 lakh kilometers per day. 11.5 lakh per day. But shortly, next financial year, that is 24-25 financial year, we planned about 800 schedules augmentation. With respect to Sarjapur Road also, we have got, we started recently 2 new depots. One is at Kodati, another is at Sadramangala. They are all underutilized. We can add another 50 to 100 schedules in each depot. And also nearby, there is a depot called Chiknagmangala. There are 3 depots adjacent to this Sarjapur. The main issue with eastern and northeastern Bangalore is majority of the areas are developed from revenue sites. We don't have wider roads. If I go to the southern part or western or northern part of Bangalore, they're very much well connected. When compared to eastern Bangalore and the northeastern part of Bangalore also, we are getting, our minimum length of the bus is 9 meters. We don't have lesser than 9 meter bus. And we have got a capacity up to 12 meter bus also. Earlier we had articulated bus also. At present we don't have. We are going to have double-decker buses in coming year. Totally, at present we are operating about 503 electric buses. In the current financial year only, we are going to add up to 1,761 buses will be operational by the end of this financial year. The important thing with respect to Sarjapur Road, we are operating roughly about 120 schedules. Recently, we started 500 HS. We started 4 AC buses with 16 trips. It started about 3-4 days back. Till now, what we feel is the response is very good. See, for us to start any service, the load factor is the most important thing. This is what we call occupancy. If I get good occupancy, nobody should call us. There is no need for request also. We start automatically by getting into the good load factor. With respect to 500 HS, that is Sarjapur to Epal, we are started. we have got a very good response. So Mukund has requested, we added 4 services. His request is to increase the frequency. Definitely, we are ready to match the frequency of 500D. 500D at present, we have got around 10 to 15 minute frequency. Here also, we are ready to add services. We don't have a shortage of AC buses. Here, the problem is shortage of load factor. If I get a very good load factor in Sarjapura-ORR road, definitely I will add few more services very shortly. Not in months. Within 10-15 days, I am ready to add another 4 services. If existing 4 services fetch me good revenue. And with respect to airport route also, we started from Sarjapur recently. There also we provided 4 buses. We are open to add the services, even for that matter, metro feeder. Totally, we are having around 160 metro feeder buses as of now around Bangalore we are operating. Even we are ready to add a few more services to connect the major metro stations. Even all these metro stations, you will get the QR code, you can scan it and you can find the static timetable, and at the same time, you can get it live tracking also. When it comes to UPI payment, at present, we have got a static QR code system. It is somewhat slow. Sometimes some buses don't have these QR code issues also there. Now we are going with dynamic QR code. This QR code will be generated with the ETM machines itself, that is electronic ticketing machines. These ETMs can issue a ticket depending upon the swiping or UPI payment. It will happen in a couple of months. These are the major issues from major points from our side.
Meera, you're on mute.
Sorry, I just wanted to add a follow-up question to sir. If you look at the area in terms of actual routes, there's quite a bit, right? There are 40 odd routes, but unfortunately, many of them, the frequency is very low because these are old villages and they're actually going to KR market. If you look at it, most of them go to market. And some of them, because of the narrow roads, because there is no turning radius on main Sarjapur road, which has got a divider now, some of them don't function anymore. Now, if you look at it, to account for this one narrow roads in terms of as well as now there are newer neighborhoods, and like Vivekanand said, there are huge campuses of the gated community. How to ensure that all of them are accessible within, let's say, if you look at last mile connectivity, within 500 meters, if you were to provide a service, would you be able to consider something like a midi bus or a mini bus? And what does it take to make that happen?
Issue is our shortest bus is 9-meter line. If it passes through narrow roads, definitely we will add the services, no issue. Even we are ready to serve the people wherever the roads are wider. Definitely I can add the services. Shortly we are recruiting manpower also, and also the buses are being added. Anyway, we are adding 800 buses. Majority of the buses will be added in the eastern part of Bangalore only, because this is a highly lucrative area wherein our penetration is also low when compared to south and west or northern part of Bangalore. These, because of low penetration, we are ready to add many services in these areas. Anyway, we have got the 3 depots which are underutilized. Secondly, we are getting plenty of buses. We are getting manpower also shortly, within 2 to 3 months. By June, we are in a position to add many services in especially the Sarjapur-Attibele area.
Thank you, sir. I think I would definitely like to now ask Srinivas Alavali to pen, because he's going to be very excited to hear about new services and more routes. Srini, over to you. Do you want to just react to this and we can go to the next question then? Yeah.
I'm always excited, Meera, especially when it comes to BMTC and bus. I think it's a terrific transition that is happening with BMTC, and sir has a lot to do with it. He brought in fresh energy into it. He mentioned 160 metro feeders. Just before a few weeks back, that number would have been 50 or 60. Now we are at 160. So that tells you how much change is happening with BMTC, and rightly so, right? Our city is changing rapidly and metro network is expanding, and BMTC has to respond to that and reach out. The advantage that BMTC has that others don't have is that the ability to touch the nook and corner of the city. In fact, BMTC runs services away from the city also. It's only a matter of a real estate or a road width that they are not able to serve some of these areas. So that is, I think, the primary issue at hand here. So, and there this policy of the midi buses being 9 meters, and it's also I must tell your audience that it's a strange thing in our country. If you want to buy a really small bus, it's not available. Nobody's manufacturing it. So there is Make in India needs to happen for make small buses in India. That kind of campaign is needed in India because all cities can use this. And that kind of thing can benefit many cities, including Bengaluru. Separate issue, but right now the constraint that BMTC has is the midi buses, which they call the 9-meter buses. Better than the regular buses, but still maybe too big for some of your areas. I think, having worked on the personal to public for the last, since July, August, in preparation for the Purple Line Metro, I've got a chance to look at this entire problem from multiple perspectives. One, obviously from the citizens' perspective, which many of us have been engaged for many years, but also from the perspective of the public agencies like BMTC, what their challenges are. And most importantly, from the perspective of corporates, which I think, has been missing in this conversation for all these years. Where are all these people going? They are going to companies. When everyone is stuck in traffic, who is losing the productivity? The corporates. Who is complaining that this many billions of dollars of GDP is gone? The corporates. But what are they doing about this public transport or getting more people in public transport? Almost nothing, right? Until recently. Right? So therefore, panels like this, discussions like this must have the representation from them. They are the ones that are the key stakeholders in it. How can they help? They can help in many ways. Right now, they are in conversation with Prabhakar sir on some buses that go from metro station to tech parks, for example. Hopefully, it will materialize. So they are recognizing the need for working on it. But as Mukund pointed out correctly at the beginning of this is a first mile problem that we have. What we have in Harloor and Sarjapur Road is a first mile problem. And the first mile without metro problem, right? First mile from home to office problem. So forget about metro, think about office to home or apartment to outer ring road tech parks. So if this problem has to be addressed, then both the stakeholder has to be fully involved. That means the citizen groups, the apartments, literally each of the apartment building with maybe 20 units, 50 units, they should work on it. And the corporates with a lot of employees should work on it. Our studies show and Vivek's studies show and all of your surveys show that most number of people in Harloor area, Sarjapur area are working in outer ring road. So it's a very small distance. Actually, if you think about it, it's not much. We can probably even run drones. I'm just joking, right? So it's such a short distance. And why are we not able to solve this problem, right? There should be many creative solutions. Bus obviously is a big solution. And, several meetings have happened already with the BMTC. The citizens group, including Mukund and many others have come and met the BMTC, and there's been some conversation about what needs to be done. Some actions have already been taken. I was very pleasantly surprised to hear that. I was looking for more of ORR buses, but what can the communities do to make this all happen? I think that's the big question here. There are a lot of people from the community joining here. Maybe you should ask them what is it that they plan to do, because what we have seen is that a lot of people demand for buses and buses will be allotted, but then there won't be the load factor. That's what sir is saying very diplomatically. Ask for bus, but people are not using it. Then what happens, right? There will be pressure within the depots. Managers will say, sir, this bus is useless, put somewhere else and all of that. That kind of discussion will happen inside BMTC. For that to not happen, when the new buses are launched, there should be enough, people in the bus, right? Especially in the routes that we are asking for. So how can that happen? That can only happen when it becomes a mission at a community level. If you are living in some big apartment with 1,000 flats or 500 flats, and you are saying 50% of the people are using car to go to outer ring road, can we get half of them to go to use bus? Can we get them to use bus twice a week, if not every day in a week? These are the nudge campaigns or behavior campaigns that seem to work. because everybody, like the old saying goes, everybody wants Bhagat Singh to be born in the neighbor's house, not in my house, right? Similarly, everybody wants a neighbor to take the public transport, not me, because they should be sustainable. I will still go in my car, right? If this attitude doesn't go, there is no matter what we are going to get into, it's not going to help. So can we create a movement? Can we create an energy in the local communities that we are struggling, we are losing the social time, we are losing time to spend with children. Children don't have enough time because they are all of this, their solution seems to be adopting mass transport. Therefore, what can we do? Traffic is not created by BMTC or BBMP or government of Karnataka or anybody. It's created by us. The moment we realize that, we'll start thinking about solutions also. So I think I'm very, impressed with the energy and sustained efforts by the local community, Meera, you, Mukund, and many others that have been part of some conversations. So now that needs to be taken forward at a grassroots level as the buses start arriving. I think the request we should make to BMTC is to identify the roads where you can run the midi buses and run them at high frequency. That should be the main ask today. And I'm pretty hopeful that sir will agree to that and run it, without stopping for a month or two, during which all of us should work on making sure that they're showing a lot of load. And then how can the companies incentivize this? Any company where they are getting employees from these buses should incentivize these employees by giving them free bus pass or some other benefit that they are using sustainable mode of transport to come to work. Therefore, what can they give to the employees? This may sound little, not very important, and it's not very, cost of travel is not a big factor for many people that own 2-3 cars, but it is. That's what we are observing, right? The many companies, including Applied Materials and Dish Network, many companies in Bangalore have started doing that. This is one of the reasons why the Purple Network, the Whitefield Metro, now has 1 lakh more daily ridership, right? That is also happening. So incentives by the companies, setting up of the buses, and then the community energy to work together. When these 3 things come together, then you are going to see a real uptick in the matter. Otherwise, it will be a few people talking about it and few more people using the bus, but it won't fundamentally change the situation on the ground. So that's what I would say. And, the more conversations like this happen with children, with resident associations, apartment communities at a grassroots level, I know you're trying to find champions inside the resident communities. Those champions will play a big role. From a WRI perspective, what I can say is that when a community reduces their dependency on personal vehicles and goes to public transport, their carbon emissions are going to be reduced. A lot of our children and including adults are very concerned about climate change, and this could be the factor that makes them change their way of commuting. Any public transport user will tell you it is a lot less comfortable than your own car, right? People tell me that I would rather sit in my car for 2 hours than struggle in the bus stop and wait for the bus or not find a space in the metro. I don't mind. I'll just stick in the car. But if you take that attitude, then nothing is going to change. So if you want to leave the planet better for the children, then you have to do a little sacrifice yourself. So these are all the thoughts that come to my mind. I don't want to take too much of your time, Meera. We can come back to this later.
Yeah.
But at the heart of it is the community mobilization that will make a big difference here.
Yeah. Thanks, Rini. So all you said it's logical, it makes sense. However, if you look at it, this entire, like on Sarjapur Road, it has so many services, and so we'll be able to back up with it. It's like the frequent services, especially at peak time. Every few minutes you have a bus. And while last mile, first mile connectivity is an issue, and people in suburban, the side roads, if they have an issue saying I don't have a bus, fair enough. Now, what about, there are so many apartments right on Sarjapur Road, and even for going somewhere like, let's say, Koramangala, where almost every bus typically goes through Koramangala to the rest of the city, even there people still are not necessarily considering bus as a first option, right? If you have some constraints, it's different. So now my question is, it's great to have carrots. You're trying to encourage them, you nudge them, appeal to their good sense, and put some senti and think about your kids. Great. But are there other things we should do beyond that in terms of stick? What can we do, Vivekanand? Do you have any thoughts on how do you it works both ways, right? How do you do that kind of a demand management, saying, okay, somehow we need to figure out how to stop the cars, right? And
No.
obviously, I mean, in fact, if you ask me, Igloo Junction itself is like a good demand management, like mechanism. In spite of it, people are still taking their car. So what does it actually take to, alter this behavior?
No, I'll just come in, Vivek, give me 1 second. See, I am not so sure if there's enough high frequency AC buses from Sarjapur to the tech parks. That's the problem you need to solve first and foremost. It doesn't matter how many buses are going to Kormangala. There will be a drop in the ocean for you. The number of buses going from the main Sarjapur road, from Decathlon, wherever that is, to the tech parks. And, I believe there are some inner roads. I don't know what the situation of the width of those roads are, but there is no reason for everybody in the world to go to Iblur Junction, number one. So that's something that need to be explored. And then the bus that is coming off the Sarjapur main road, the trunkway, whatever main road, is it going into ORR and is it touching all the tech parks that matter? This is a very important question to answer. I'm not sure if Mukund and others have done, Vivek and others have done this kind of analysis. I don't remember that, whether you've done it. So focus on that. There are two problems here. One is Sarjapur Road to Tech Parks. Second is Harlur Road to Tech Parks. Harlur Road to Tech Parks is a different challenge because of the road width, and there the solution is mini buses and all that. Sarjapur Road to Tech Parks is a different challenge. So when both of these things come together, then only you will see that. And literally, you need to have people sign up to say, I'm going to take this bus when it comes, right? And that's where I go back to that incentive. The other thing I would say, Mira, is that we cannot make people do what we want, no matter what it is. You cannot make people segregate waste. We cannot make people, follow traffic rules. They will do it on their own, right? That's why we need to trigger that behavior change in them, right? People used to do smoking all the time, and children used to be around the smokers, secondhand smoking. Until 90s, nobody knew that secondhand smoking causes cancer. So happily, people were smoking away while kids were around. Today, that doesn't happen. Same thing will happen with public transport also. It's just that we are at the cusp of that moment, whether in the case of smoking, it's a death and cancer that is the fear factor that's driving behavior, right? Here it is the stress of driving. Here it is the road safety. Here it is the planet. Those are the factors that need to come in. So creative campaigns, awareness building, and social responsibility are the most important thing. And the last thing I would say is nudge. Don't force me. Don't tell people, oh, you shouldn't be driving a car and all that. Let them enjoy their car. Let them own their car, but use public transport few days a week for commute. This is the only message that works in my experience, and that is working for Purple Line and so on. So no reason why it won't work for your area.
I want to add one more comment quickly to Srini's point. That nudge force. We are not at that stage anymore. People need to be convinced. I can assure you, if we've been driving on Sarjapur Road, you will do anything it takes to, get off your car, because the harassment of driving there. But the only thing is, as I said, you need to have frequency and you need to have an AC bus. If you got those two, I guarantee you, Srini, you don't even need to touch. Today we are there.
Okay. Mukund, do you want to just mention the requests that you have given BMTC that Mr. Prabhakar also responded with, the two routes, the feeders that you have? What are the requests that you have from the community?
Yeah, so apart from the broader things, the two routes we had focused based on the survey responses, we saw strong responses apart from Sarjapur Road, main trunk road. We saw Kasvanalli Road, and the second one we got was Harlu Road, and there was a sprinkling of other arterial roads. So I think Vivekananda and Shini and others had also taken a stab, and they had looked at feasibility options. The key here is you need to break that 15-minute barrier. If people see the bus, they will automatically get on the bus. So it's a chicken and egg, because as Sir also mentioned, they need to have a load factor. But if you have a 30 minutes plus frequency, people can't plan around it. They can't always say, I need to, it's not like Bombay, people get on for that 803 local. We will still have some variability. And so if those two routes can be facilitated with some feeder bus, I think we also saw very clearly in the survey response data, and this makes complete sense, is that most of the population is working in the Bellandur to Marathali zone. So even if you terminated your bus loop at Marathali, the advantage, and I realize this speaking to Vivekanand in there, you are not going to maybe solve 90% of your first mile, but at least if people were to say that if I got on the bus and from home I could get straight to my workplace, and most of the workplaces people are going are coming in the this one, it's one direct connection, then all you need to figure out is your first mile connection. At least everything else is sorted. But if you make them change at Igloo Junction, that immediately kills people's app.
Okay, thank you. Vivekanand, I think both of them
Yeah.
have added quite a bit, but if you want to just mention anything about demand management from your perspective.
Yeah, I think points are correct. I mean, from what Srini and Mukunda mentioned, I mean, you need very enlightened people to effectively switch to public transport immediately. So a lot of nudging and all that will help with some people, but I think a lot more needs to be done. At least you could do walkability audits to see how good the walking infrastructure is. You have to reduce the amount of friction. People should find it superbly easy so they should be able to spot the bus, yes, but they should be able to reach the bus stop or the place where the pickup points are much easily and safely. So that's something that you'll have to work on. On the other side, the moment say I get off on Outer Ring Road, there is probably a foot-over bridge. I cross over to the tech park. Inside also, some of these tech parks run shuttles, and maybe if they do that also very, very well, or there are other modes like, for instance, bikes or whatever for you to quickly reach a building. So those kind of things will make it very, very seamless for somebody. We've all traveled, so we know that, in other countries, probably you would take public transport, you don't mind walking, and that's the kind of attitude people will really need to show here. A lot of campaigning has to be done, but at the Living Lab where we work, we do a lot of experimentation. So small experiments can be created where, of course, we will need the support of BMTC, of the government officials to be able to try out something interesting. So the loop service bit that you're trying out, right, that you're mentioning. So something like that should be started off, and we try campaigning, making it popular. We try on both sides, talking to the tech parks to ensure that the shuttles inside, taking the people from the main gate till the buildings inside and so on, so that everything works in tandem. So all of this really needs to be done. And may I just suggest, I don't know, I mean, Prabhakar sir, if one input. So I mean, of course, what Srini was mentioning, people will drive in their cars because there is money in the bank account. I mean, there's affordability. So they will always be able to buy some more comfort. If you really, could look at this suggestion where probably some of these, like GCC model you contracted out for electric buses, if you were to contract out for luxury AC mini buses or vans where, it's just seating and, the way Ola Shuttle now recently is launched and so on, something like that, where BMTC collects all the ticket revenue and then runs it in a loop to these places. The people find similar comfort in an air-conditioned travel, comfortable travel, like in their cars, in these vehicles, and they are able to pick up at almost every gated community's gate, the way school buses do. Probably the adoption will be fairly large. That way, the branding of it will also be fairly different. So, the discounts that you give under Shakti scheme or probably waivers, etc., need not be given because it's completely differently branded and a premium service where, so experiments like this can be tried and will be willing, for even a short duration of 3 months, it could be tried. Where, some kind of support is given and viability gap funding might or might not be required because the pricing itself can be fixed in a manner that it is sustainable. So open to experimentation is also one thing. So we really need to learn what will work best.
Thank you. Thank you, Vivekanand. And we have a whole bunch of questions, and I will take those now. But just wanted one thing is Valli, Valli is there. So Valli, can you just, because there is this other part about the road itself, the road has to be like uniform width, it has to be walkable and so on. Vivekanand talked about the new DPR for Sarjapur Road to ensure, it's wide and smooth, all of that. So that, while that large project, because there's also going to be land acquisition and other, issues to be dealt with, while that goes on, what does it take to actually ensure at least the footpaths that are, exist and they are smooth and continuous, right? They're level and continuous. Very simple ask, in actually very doable. It will take a few months, even if you start today, but it's a worthy cost, right? Even if the road is going to get widened, but at least ensuring the bottlenecks are removed. I just like Vali to come in and actually explain the experience with BBMP and, in getting footpaths usable from, she lives in Kasnali Road. So maybe just that experience would be helpful, because now this is something that all residents in have to kind of jump in and work with BBMP to at least get their stretch of the road, like, navigable. Vali, would like to just share that bit?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, when you talk of footpaths, actually, all these roads, Harloor Road, Kasvanali Road, Junasandra Road, they have all been villages suddenly become cities. So you find that the roads are very narrow. There is no footpath at all. If you talk of Kasvanali, the footpath is only the what I call roadside drain, and that is covered by slab. People use that at a footpath, and vendors also use it for selling their wares. So it's a really terrible thing. People really shudder to think, because these vendors often open the slabs to put all their after sales waste into that. Then it becomes clogged in the monsoon, and it just overflows, and all this water goes to Sarjapur Road. Sarjapur Road is drowned. Okay. Now, due to this and the rain, during rainy season, the water also doesn't drain off properly. And due to this, the road gets spoiled. Okay. In addition to that, there is a lot of heavy vehicle traffic on these roads. Mainly, I think, due to the building activities, which are really tremendously going on at fast rate. So the road also gets spoiled very quickly. Now, it is common knowledge that all of us in Kasvanali, Harloor Road and all that, we have been, even Sarjapur Road, we have been frantically trying the main road engineer and the ward road engineers to do the repairs, especially main road. Harloor, Kasvanali and Sarjapur all come under the main road division. But very sadly, so very sadly, there have been a lot of transfers in that department, and not much has been done. I've even submitted this sheet to the, DKS, Janasamparka, which was held in Mahadevpura. I gave them a list also. Still, nothing has been done.
Thank you. Thank you, Valli. I think that kind of summarizes the challenges that on a day-to-day basis, working with PBMP is also, a lot of things to be done as well. So let me just move to the question. Sudhir is asking about, one is, of course, Harloor Road and Kasvanali Road being narrow, best to introduce midi buses or mid-size electric buses. So that is the one thing, but he's also suggesting that junctions like Domsandra, Muttanallur, Kodatti, and all the U-turns along Sarjapur Road, they also need to be, you have to work with BTP, BBMP, and Panchayat as well. So that is from a traffic management perspective. The other request is also about connectivity to ORR for onward journey towards Bellandur and Silport side, which can help us metro feeder when the blue line starts. So, which means increasing the number of the 500s which go into Outer Ring Road towards Martali, as well as the ones towards Silkport. So, Mr. Prabhakar, is there any plan, and which are the kind of routes that residents can look forward to?
I will check.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will check and come back, madam.
Sure. Okay. And obviously, like mention again the point constraint that you said, that you have to ensure that residents have to ensure the load factor, ensure that it's there is good occupancy, and ensuring that the route is
Definitely, we are ready to
sustainable.
give desired frequency. It is not an issue.
Okay.
Ready
Thank
to
you.
give desired frequency. Only thing I should get at least this public sector undertakings like BMTC, we are not here to make the profits. At least I should meet the cost of variables.
Right. Thank you. There is one question from Saurabh Pandey on multi-level parking lot near Kasnali and Harloor Road. Vivekanand, do you think that's a good idea, or will that work at cross purpose to making the bus routes viable? I mean, the inner feeder routes viable.
Yeah, none of it. I think you're attracting more cars and vehicles to come and create chaos there. So don't go for it. I would recommend that if you have the yellow line on Hosur Road, you just run more buses, taking them from Sarjapur Road till Hosur Road. I mean, take buses and reach these spots. Don't come in your own vehicles.
Right. Thank you.
Mira, there are tons
Yeah.
of buses that go from Silk Board to Kerpuram. That problem is already solved, right? So you have high frequency AC buses going from Kerpuram Metro to Silk Board. So this is done to support the purple line connecting to tech parks, people coming in metro. Now, what happens when yellow line comes, which is 3 months away, maybe 4 months away, best case scenario? A lot of people are going to take the bus, come from Jayanagar or wherever, and then going to come to Silk Board, get off at Silk Board, and then take the bus. Blue line is 2 years away. Let's not even go there. Let's not talk about it. I think the construction nightmare is over. So we are hoping to see the bus lane there. That is the best case scenario for Outer Ring Road, is the bus lane coming back. The station's work is the only reason why it is not actively moving, but a lot of people in DULT, BBMP, BMTC, everyone is rooting for the bus lane on ORR to come back. So as citizen groups, that's something that all of you can do, is to create the pressure for that, bring back the bus lane on Outer Ring Road. Now that the carriageway of metro work is more or less done.
True.
We can take that separately. Stations work is there, so that's complicated, but yeah, it can be done. So now, therefore, you give speed to the bus. I don't think that you need very high-end luxury AC premium kind of things. What you need is frequency and speed. You can get people to their work within 15-20 minutes or so, you will get tons of people, even if it's a regular old BMTC Sarige bus also. Right now, the moment you enter the Outer Ring Road, the bus is stuck with 10,000 other cars. Though there are so many people sitting in the bus, they are suffering because of the decisions made by the all others sitting in the car. So that problem can only be solved by the bus lane. So let's look at it holistically like that. And discussing anything to do with metro, either on ORR or Sarjapur Road, is premature at this point of conversation. Focus entirely on the bus aspect. And like others mentioned, cycling is a very big open opportunity in this area, particularly if you think about the other ways of getting to tech parks without coming to Iblor, without going on the main ORR. If there are cycling paths to be done, that's something that we should work with BBMP. And I think there will be uptake on it. The kind of energy that you all created for the feeder buses and this discussion, similar thing needs to be done for the cycling. I think that is yet to happen. But when it happens, I think you'll see good outcomes out of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. One, now that the construction work on ORR is over, then it's a good time to revisit the bus lanes as well as cycle lanes. Tarun Mathur is asking about 500 HS, that it should be in the same frequency as 500G. Tarun, probably repeating what Mr. Prabhakar already said. He said, as if you can ensure the load factor that there is good occupancy, they are happy to increase the frequency. So I think it's up to residents to sort of the ball is in the residents' court right now to ensure that these existing routes are doable. But I think it's a fair question in the sense, like, people, they also want to see the frequency and see the regular buses to start using. So I think this is something we can, again, probably formally request PMTC as well to increase the 500 HS. Like today, I think today or yesterday, somebody did mention this bus was actually running packed. So that's a good thing to, see as well. Varahamurthy is talking about small buses. It's not true that small buses are not manufactured. You can see Tata and Eicher being used by the schools. I think Varahamurthy, what Srinivas is talking about is the demand. There is so much of demand by the various bus agencies around the country because of the FAME scheme and many other push for improved public transport that they're not able to meet the demand that is from the various cities. So that's, I think, what you meant, right, Srinivas?
No, it's also that if bus corporations want smaller buses, see, buying 4 buses is different from BMTC buying 840 buses, right? Very, very different. It requires the entire manufacturing thing. So it's a longer topic. I know what he's saying. I also see those mini buses, but when can the bus transport corporations procure them in the way that the government procurement works? That's the challenge. Best in Mumbai has done some good innovation, and they are experimenting with it. I'm pretty sure BMTC will do some experiments also in a matter of time. But definitely in terms of form factor of different types of buses suitable for 500-year-old cities like Bengaluru, that innovation hasn't happened. I would blame the bus manufacturers like Ashok Leylands and Tatas and others to think through this, right? Because every month you get a new car model. Every year or two, you get a new bus model. That also will look a little more fancy, but it doesn't fundamentally change the bus. We need to change that, right? If you look at the buses in the airports, they are very different from the city buses. Why is that? Because that's a captive audience. Bangalore airport runs half the buses that BFTC runs. Without bus, the airport will come crashing down. So there is innovation happening there because there is that kind of a demand and things like that. So yes, there are mini buses, but no, they are not able to be given to the bus corporations like the way they are. It's not an unsolvable problem. I think it can be solved, but it requires certain thing. I think Sir wants to say something.
Yes, sir.
You're on mute, sir.
In BMTC, with respect to procurement of small buses, like we have gone for 6 to 7 meter electric buses, 2-time tenders went. Nobody is participated. Finally, we called all the electric bus manufacturers in India. About 4 or 5 fellows are there. They all come. They told that their minimum length of the bus is 9 meter only with respect to electric, not the diesel buses.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're going off script, but let's not underestimate the power of the automobile lobby to discount the bus, right? There is a very active attempt to, not make bus very successful in this country. That also happens. Okay.
Thanks, Srinivas. I think we're running out of time, but just one, I think quite a few points about different routes. And I think one of the issues, Srinivas, you talked about, yes, there are enough buses on Outer Ring Road that it's easy to, take them. But I think the Ipluv junction again is the bottleneck because people are, it's not comfortable getting down, at Balandur Gate and walking down and crossing that road. That is something I think the local residents have to work with BBMP and fix it. And as well as BMRCL, because a lot of that area, the work is still going on. So that is, I think, a non-negotiable. We have to figure out what needs to be done there. That is definitely a bottleneck. There is a point from JP Reddy about an approach to improve load factor. I don't know, sir, if you joined late, but Srinivas mentioned exactly the same thing, working with BMTC to get the new routes. Once the routes are announced by bulk or daily, monthly passes and sell it in gated communities, informing people. I think residents are creating these different WhatsApp groups to spread the word on the new routes as well. And encouraging the people to use the BMTC app and so on. In fact, now you can also, even in Google Maps, you can still see some of the routes. It's not like 100% accurate, but it's quite convenient to sort of figure out which are the buses to take where you want to go. So I think, and Sri Tej's point about proper roads and ensuring people follow traffic rules. Now, I don't know. That is a completely different topic in itself and worth another hour or two to talk about that. So I think that I would say, in a way, it's sort of out of scope for this. But the point about the lane discipline by buses and making them stop properly at bus stops. So, Mr. Prabhakar, if you want to just add a little bit about how residents can work with BMTC to ensure this happens. where the bus stops, and the fact that they are like, sometimes they skip it if they're full, or sometimes they go on the main road instead of the service lane where the bus stops are actually there. We've actually, if you see this road, there are every stop has some 4 or 5 bus shelters, but it's hard to figure out where the bus is actually going to stop. So it's a bit guess you'll have to run around here and there between the stops. But any suggestions on how residents can work with BMTC to make this happen?
Definitely, we have got SARPI, just like Vaisala in police. We have got patrolling vehicles in all major roads. In one thing is the residents can complain, they can raise it, they can take the photo of the bus and they can post it. Definitely will take action. One. The other thing is our drivers also, we are sending regularly to traffic management center, that is TMC at this traffic police facility. We are educating our drivers regularly on regular basis, most probably about 4,000 drivers trained as of today. And we are intended to train almost all the drivers. Only thing is, let raise the complaints. Definitely will take action. We have got a helpline number also. They can contact.
Thank you. Pavitra has got a point about a lot of traffic on Sarjapur Road coming from Vartur and Gunjur area, because that area is not well connected to ORR directly. So again, if requesting for mini buses from Vartur area to Outer Ring Road as well through the smaller roads. So Pavitra, maybe you can work with other residents and also work with BMTC, sir, is there. But Mr. Prabhakar, do you want to respond to that? Any plans on that area that is beyond the Domsandra, on the Vartur Road itself, which is actually, I think, a state highway?
See, we are operating, that is Vaskote to Attibele Road. That main road, we are operating plenty of services. We are having around 30 electric buses, 10 AC buses, and like that. Only thing is, if they raise some demands, definitely we'll survey to it and we'll look into it.
Thank you.
Only thing is, there could be a motorable road.
Yeah, that is going to be a bit of an issue in those areas. So
what you're
thanks,
missing
everybody.
is you're missing the MLA in this conversation.
So we are missing many people in this conversation. We actually did try reaching some of them, but I think it's a good start. I think it's great to have Mr. Prabhakar's undivided attention today, and I think community groups can actually work with them directly to get many of this, at least the immediate. There are quite a few things that can be solved immediately. So I think we're kind of running out of time. Do we wrap up? Any last points from the panelists? Anything you'd like to share? And then we can, I think, wrap up.
No, I'm good. I think Prabhakar pretty much had a very, very good pipeline. I think the metro feeders and the increased coverage and all, it's all very positive.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mukund.
Yeah, I feel, engage with the people much more, create champions out of, whoever is doing all this bus trips today, publish those. People working in similar organizations will definitely take a cue, and probably the way you need somebody to lead a particular trek, on an unknown trail, the same thing could be working out here. Once they see that it's fairly simple and others are doing it, more people will take it up. And you have social media to spread it across WhatsApp groups and so on. I think that will help.
Thank you. Mr. Prabhakar, would you like to add anything? Last few words. Mr. Prabhakar, would you like to add anything? Yeah. No. Okay. Srini, over to you.
No,
you got 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you very much for doing this. I think this kind of event and energy is what is required. And like Vivekanand just said, a lot of people are already taking buses. Those 40 lakh daily trips are happening because our fellow Bangaloreans only are taking those buses. And there are many like me, there are many like Mukund and you that find the bus ride quite comfortable. It's just that there are a lot of myths about it. There is a lot of inertia and concerns and worries. Just get somebody started, have a buddy system, get the champions to take somebody else, introduce them to the wonderful world of the BMTC. Now we have live status in the bus stops. you can leave your office in a big tech park. They say that it takes half an hour for a car to come out of the tech park parking lot to the main road. That's a common thing I hear from all my friends that work there. Instead you sit in your office, do your work, write one more code or fix one more bug, keep looking at the BMTC bus app and see when the bus is coming to your office, then only you step out of your office and get into the bus. Those kind of advanced things are now possible in Bengaluru. So let all people know about it. These are all things work in progress. Good things are happening and new buses will be coming. So I'm very grateful that you have created this energy. And I think with some nudge and with some incentives and, a lot of guilt, all of these things have to come together for a big change to happen. And I'm pretty sure today's event and the work that you're doing will go in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us on a Monday evening, and I hope this kind of leads to actually like positive change. And I wouldn't want to moderate another session talking about the same problem. There will be new challenges, I'm sure, but this definitely looks like there's something that can be solved at least at the near term. And of course, there are plans for more lasting solutions in the long term. So look forward to more buses and more people taking buses in the near future. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.